Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of our alumni who are joining us for our first Alumni Town Hall presented by our University of Houston Alumni Association Board of Directors. We're so glad you're joining us here this evening. For fun, let's do a quick poll of all of our viewers tonight. Let us know in your chat section your graduation year and where you are joining us from in the world. We know from your registrations that you're joining us from 23 states and 6 different countries. So you hope to put that in the chat so we'll know exactly where on the map you are. To start us off, I would like to introduce the president of the University of Houston Alumni Association Foundation, Lori Rutherford. Lori is a 3-time graduate of the C.T. Bauer College of Business, earning her BBA in '86, her MBA in '91, and her MS in 2004. Lori has been an invaluable partner this year as we've worked to maintain our connection to each and every one of you amidst this pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lori Rutherford.
Thank you, Mike. It has been my absolute pleasure to serve as president this year. Despite the challenges of our Alumni Association with COVID-19, I am humbled by the commitment and resolve of our alumni, now over 300,000 strong. With that, I would like to welcome all alumni, life members, and the volunteers of our over 40 alumni associations. Whether through volunteering, participating in constituent groups, or becoming a life member, there are many, many ways to solidify your involvement in the Alumni Association. One of the great ways to get involved that has received a spotlight during these challenging times is our University of Houston Alumni Association Cougar Business Network. Now over 350 companies strong, this directory supports all Cougar-owned, Cougar-managed, and operated businesses. To join the network or find a list of the companies you can support, please visit our website, HoustonAlumni.com. You'll find many, many companies you can patronize. I have thoroughly enjoyed serving you, and I treasure the many new connections that I have formed as a result. I would like to hand the reins over to tonight's moderator, the Vice President of University Advancement, Eloise Bryce, who will get our program underway. Eloise?
Thank you very much, Lori, and thank you, Mike. And thanks to all of you for joining us tonight and submitting your questions. The response was quite overwhelming. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can, those from the time when you registered and those that are coming in this evening on the chat. Those that we don't get a chance to respond to, we will seek to get those answers to you after the fact. We are clearly very heartened by your interest in our students. There were many questions, and you'll hear that about how our students are faring. We know that the University of Houston stands strong because of its rich alumni heritage and ongoing engagement with today's university. So I welcome both of our panelists tonight, President of the University of Houston, Dr. Renu Khator, and Vice President for Medical Affairs and Founding Dean of the College of Medicine, Dr. Stephen Spann. You all know how lucky we are to have President Khator at the helm. And you will soon see that we are equally fortunate to have the distinguished and tenacious Dr. Stephen Spann as our founding dean. It's his vision and perseverance that has made this college come to fruition over the past few years. So I'm going to start by asking each of you to make opening remarks before we proceed with our questions. President Khator, if you would open it up, please.
Thank you, Eloise. Hello, everyone, wherever you're joining from. Lots of love and lots of affection right here from the land of the red and Cougar Nation. First of all, I hope you are healthy and you are safe. This is a global pandemic, very challenging times, but you're very important, so please take good care. I want to also thank you for your support all during this time since March. I think many of you have reached out, many of you have given your words of encouragement, and I sincerely appreciate all of those. I also appreciate your help in general and what you continue to do, your resilience, your inspiration. Now I'm in my 13th year, and I cannot tell you how absolutely lucky and fortunate I feel to be with you. So today, let me give you very quick 50,000 foot just an outline of what's happening at the university and where we have been since March. And then we'll get into Q&A, and hopefully I can answer a lot of questions, but you can always write to us. So starting with, of course, our students. In March, it was over 8-day period. that we had to convert 6,500 of our courses online. And I can tell you what I saw from the faculty, their dedication, their hard work, and their passion for student success was absolutely humbling. They took the challenge and they converted the courses, they did their best. And then in summertime, we thought that we were going to lose a lot of students. The Board of Regents acted immediately by giving us the flexibility in terms of the fees. And we saw 28% enrollment increase during summertime, which tells me that the students really wanted to continue. We were able to help 26,000 students financially, in addition to everything else we did. And that is thanks to the stimulus funding, but more importantly, thanks to you all who gave money to the Cougar Emergency Fund, that we were able to really help the students. Without you, they could not have been successful. We couldn't have kept them. Now in fall, during this time, because we knew fall might be to some extent online, right now we are offering in all different modes. There are classes offered face-to-face, there are classes offered online. We have retrofitted all of our classes so that the social distancing can be maintained. We have, if it's a class size hall of 100, probably 30 students will be there. But every class also have a streaming video and technology now so that the people can join those who don't feel comfortable and do not want to come to campus. We have worked with two principles, flexibility and compassion, whether it's for students, whether it's for faculty and staff. There are many academic policies that faculty decided to really change temporarily just so that the students don't have to deal with anxiety, because we know what mental health issues can also be there. Right now, fall enrollment, so the fall classes are coming. We will begin the classes on August the 24th, and students have flexibility of how they wish to accept their enrollment and accept their learning. At this point, we are a couple of percentage points ahead of the fall of last year. We will see what we can do to really help the students. Eventually, it's all about the student success. We are also continuing with our Cougar Promise, which we started at least for freshmen, and that is that if the family income is 65,000 or less, there's no tuition fee charged by the university. If the family income is between 65,000 and 125,000, some kind of tuition assistance is guaranteed. Board approved that in February, and immediately we got hit by the pandemic, but we are continuing with that promise as well. Well, moving on from students, let me tell you, the College of Medicine started on Saturday. It was a lovely white coat ceremony, and I had such an honor and privilege to be there, just to be in the same room with the students, and we had a white coat ceremony. It's so difficult to start College of Medicine, but good God is starting it during pandemic. It has been possible only because you all, alumni, you've been supporting us so much, and Dean Span, of course, had it. Enormous influence on that, great leadership there. By the way, if you missed the news, if you're not following me on Twitter, then you probably missed a lot of news. But if you missed this one, we are now seventh ranked in the country in terms of the university that pays off the most. And I'm not surprised because I know your success, I know what you're accomplishing. So this is a really good ranking for us to have. In terms of our research, I'll tell you the research is going well, but what is most humbling is that how faculty took their research that they were doing, and whether it was in energy field, whether it was in data analysis, and immediately started to apply, trying to see what we can do about this virus situation. They're working with in several collaborative projects. You probably heard about our ventilator research. You probably heard about this catch and kill filter. You also probably heard about many other similar initiatives that are going on, but particularly College of Medicine has stepped up to the plate and immediately started offering a course in contact tracing. Over 2,000 people have taken that course, and we have our own contact tracer that way on campus. In terms of sports, I know many of you want to know, just like I want to know. It's really very hard to say, but we have every plan and every intention to be able to play the games if that opportunity was allowed to us by NCAA and by our conference, which we are part of, American Athletic Conference. So lots of conversations are going on. Of course, safety of our student athletes is paramount, and we'll just have to see how we can do so. But at this point, there are football games scheduled. EDSU is going to be at 25 capacity. College sports will go on. However, I want you to know, even if college sports were to go away, we'll keep those scholarships and opportunities and eligibility for our student athletes to the extent possible. At this point, let me just kind of wrap it up. There's supposed to be opening remarks where you know that if I'm talking about UH, I can just go on for hours, but these are very interesting and challenging times. But two things we know. One, this pandemic is going to be over. One day it's going to be over. We will be in the world known as post-vaccine world. I already have the brightest of the minds of the university working right now to see, imagine in what ways our life, our higher education is going to change in terms of classroom, in terms of workplace, in terms of recruiting, in terms of college sports, and all these different dimensions, so that we can prepare ourselves to what that scenario and that world may look like. Because once we come out of it, we want to come out of it strong, we want to come out of it better, we want to come out of ready to really move forward for the sake of our city or region, for the sake of our nation. Also, I want you to know, we have been going through a very difficult time in society because a couple of months back, we were forced into facing our own fears, our own biases because of the incidences that happened because of the very, very tragic death of George Floyd. The University of Houston has been at the forefront in terms of these issues. There are things that universities are promising to do now that we started 5 years ago. We are nowhere close to where we need to be. This has given us another opportunity to really look and see what is it that we can do to make sure that human beings are treated as human beings. And it's important for us. So there is a committee that's working on, I know there are 3 alumni serving on it, and there are several different work groups. But we just want to make sure that we take this opportunity and really see what our students, our faculty, our staff, our institution as a whole can do toward social justice, issues of social justice. So let me stop at this point, and I'll be happy to get back to it. Thank you.
Thank you, President Khator. Dr. Span, would you like to make some opening remarks or jump right into the questions?
Let me express my gratitude for you for all of your support for our College of Medicine. It really is an exciting time. As our president said, we had our white coat ceremony on Saturday, which is a formal welcoming of medical students into the medical profession. Our students started their orientation on July 20th, and then their first day of class on July 27th. So we're now into our 3rd week of class, and we have 30 bright, energetic, excited medical students that are beginning their careers as student physicians. You know, the mission of our medical school is to improve the health and healthcare of our community by educating a diverse group of students who will provide high-value, compassionate care to individuals, families, and communities, particularly communities that have significant health disparities. Of course, we will be practicing medicine. We have a federally qualified health center on the 1st floor of our Health 2 building, where our faculty and soon our students will see patients together. We're committed to doing interdisciplinary research to find solutions to problems in health and healthcare. And we're committed to engaging and partnering with communities that have significant health disparities to together improve our health and healthcare. We have a wonderful first-year class. We had over 2,200 applicants for 30 positions. 1,700 of those met our entry criteria. We interviewed about 10% of those, about 170. Most of the interviews were online. We couldn't do those in person due to COVID. We offered 41 applicants positions to fill 30 slots. And our student body is just absolutely amazing. Let me give you some statistics. They're all Texans. They're all Texas residents. 73% of them come from underrepresented minorities in medicine. 63% are women. 57% are first generation college students. 40% come from lower socioeconomic status families. And they are just amazing. Their commitment to the mission of the medical school is enormous, 93% mission congruent, and they are very excited to be at the University of Houston College of Medicine. Let me just say just a word about COVID. I'm sure everyone is tired of hearing about it, but I think there is a little bit of good news. Over the past week or so, we have seen a downward trend in the number of new cases in our state and county, and we'll hope that that continues. The hospitalization rate has been going down across the state, as has the number of fatalities. One area of concern is that in the recent days, the percent of people tested who are positive has gone up, but we are certainly hopeful that we're beginning to see the flattening of the curve of this COVID epidemic. I will tell you that I have been very involved in the plans to prepare for our students coming back to campus. I think we have excellent protocols in place to prevent and control the COVID epidemic on campus, all the way from encouraging social distancing. Everyone will wear masks. Of course, we will be encouraging hand and surface hygiene, and really all of the recommendations that will minimize, hopefully, the rate of infectivity on campus. We will be able to test our students and employees that become symptomatic with a quick turnaround time. We've trained a number of contact tracers to do contact tracing. So I believe that we're doing everything we can to prevent the spread of COVID on our campus. I look forward to your questions. Again, great to be with you. Back to you, Louise.
Thank you, Dr. Spann. I'm going to start with the questions, but I want to encourage everyone who is on to submit questions. We really want to get to all of them, but we want to make sure that you ask those things that you're thinking about as you're hearing our speakers. So let me just start with the first one. President Khator, with the university online for the last several months, what's the experience been like for the students?
Yes, so that's a great question. When we shifted in March to online education, I would admit to you that what we heard back from students during feedback and what we heard back from the faculty was that they weren't satisfied about the engagement piece of it. And it's totally understandable because people had to do immediately this kind of transition. So basically they transitioned modality of their content, but they had no time to adjust the content itself that is more conducive to that particular modality. So between that time, between April, after the semester was over, and now we have run several trainings by experts, by our own expert faculty, those who know teaching online, those who have received awards, and more than 1,000 faculty have gone through this training. And you can see for the fall semester, and even some for spring too, but the fall semester, the content and their the richness of involvement is definitely going to be there. So I feel very good about the product that we are putting out. I mean, I feel very good about the product that we had before too, but it took a lot more effort for students to engage. But the one other piece that I would point out to you, which was a lot more at UH Downtown and UH Clear Lake than it was at UH, but nonetheless, I was surprised that we had that issue, and that is that people just didn't have either computer or didn't have connectivity to broadband, which made it very challenging. So we came up with 300 computers as loaners that we were able to give to people, but if they wanted it. And then we opened up our campus parking lots with still continuing a strong bandwidth for students to be able to come park and do their work if they wanted that. And then we also worked with vendors to be able to see that we can really provide access where it is necessary. So we realized that not everybody, when it comes to technology, not everybody have. There are a lot of people who just don't have, and it's really a shame, but we feel that we have worked it out, and at this point, at least those difficulties, even if there should be, quite minimized. So I want to again thank those of you who contributed to the Cougar Emergency Fund, because we were able to really help with technological issues with students using the help that you gave us. So thank you again.
Thank you. And Dean Spann, can you talk a little bit about how the college is going to contribute to the prevention and control of COVID in Houston and maybe beyond that?
Absolutely. Well, public health measures are really the core strategy right now until we have a vaccine, and vaccinating people is part of public health as well. We've been quite involved in public education. We had a series on our Health is Primary or Health Matters segments on Houston Public Media on COVID. We've had a number of our faculty provide interviews on local and national TV stations. So we're making every effort we can to educate the public about COVID and the realities of the pandemic. In addition to that, as you've already heard, we mounted an internal course on contact tracing for COVID, which really was a sort of a broad educational course about the disease. We had over 2,000 registrants from within the University of Houston family. We now have implemented that on the Coursera platform, which is an MOC platform that has national and international reach, already over 3,000 enrollees in that course. We're also going to be offering that course to nurses around the state and possibly the country and to others. So trying to educate folks about the pandemic. Of course, we're involved in day-to-day care of patients through our federally qualified health center where we practice. We have also been involved in planning for preventing and controlling the epidemic on campus. And finally, we're beginning to talk about a conference, will likely be a virtual conference for our region that would address the issues of COVID-19 in communities of color. We know that there is a disproportionate incidence, complication rate, and fatality rate in those communities. And we want to take some actions that will lower those realities. So a lot going on, and we're delighted to be able to participate.
It is exciting. I think we're all looking forward to all the things that will come from all of that. President Khator, switching gears a little bit, you're leading national conversations, talking with many experts about this unique time. What informs your thinking?
Well, that's a really good question. I read as much material as I can find. I talk to my colleagues all around. What I feel is at the end of the day, the decisions that we are facing are very similar decisions that all institutions, and people are making decisions based on a couple of things. One is, of course, what is their own set of values, and what is it that what kind of experiences they've had. Because no matter how much you read and how many leadership books you read, at the end of the day, you really make decisions based on what your gut intuition and your own collection of experiences is. So I would say I read a lot and read everything, listen to everything. When it comes to making decisions, I look for our own principles, our own situation, our own uniqueness, and that's how I make decisions. But the other thing I'll say is, and it will be, all of you alumni, you are making decisions of similar type in juggling through a lot of things in your spheres. What I find absolutely exhausting is because this crisis continues to expand. It's not like hurricane came and went over and then you cleaned up and you took a look at what kind of damage it left behind and tried to deal with it. Well, this one, we don't even know what next week brings. So I find as a leader, what's just most exhausting is trying to be on the balcony and trying to see a longer view, a bigger view, but at the same time, trying to be on the ground floor and trying to be with people, trying to solve the day-to-day issues. So I'm just tired of just running up and down, I feel like in my mental status. Having said that, I think higher education is going to change in a big way. We can talk more about that, but I just want to make sure the University of Houston is where it is. It's momentum, it's launchpad, that if we can steer it right, we can support it right, I think it should be ready to really serve people even better when we come out of this pandemic. I don't know if that's what you meant, Eloise, but
Well, we have a number of alums who are very interested in that. David Rivera, class of 2011, and John Randolph, class of 2017, had asked, do you think there'll be lasting change in higher education after the pandemic? And what changes do you hope most will stick?
So I think those are excellent questions. And that's every day I spend some time, of course I do yoga, I do meditation, but then every day I spend some time thinking about it. Is my thinking becoming any clearer? So, interestingly, we have been forced to experiment with technology that we should have been doing, but were hesitant to do. But now we got forced into it. And I know there were faculty who were absolutely hesitant. And they kept saying, and I live with one. And when, I had this conversation early on with Suresh when we said, we're going online, you'll have to teach online. He's like, no way, I can never teach my course online. You don't understand my content. This is engineering. And well, then he had to experiment with it and he had to teach with it. And, first there were a lot of frustration and now he's figured out lots of different ways and his complaining has gone down significantly. Now, actually, he kind of feels like, okay, there are a lot of these parts that I can do. So my number one thing is I think we're going to be integrating technology in such a unique way. Think about the classroom of tomorrow. Right now, the capacity of the classroom is gone. There are people, if they want to take it, we already put the technology in classrooms for even 10 students who say, well, I don't want to really come to the classroom, but I want to take this so-and-so class. Earlier, we said we only offer it on campus. Now we can say we offer it in both modalities. So even the classroom has changed. Our workplace will change. I just don't think that all 100% of our people are going to come back. Some people we realize can work remotely, can work really very well remotely. And if that is the case, our pool of talent really expands because if you don't want to have somebody to move to Houston, you can actually reach out for talent anywhere, nationally, anywhere globally, and you can use that talent for the best of your judgment. The research is going to change. Of course, we realize we've been lucky generations that we didn't see the pandemic. I have been writing a heritage project during this pandemic, which is going back to my own heritage and trying to just write a book. And I realized my grandmother had all these different rules that I thought were kind of crazy. But then I look back, she survived through the couple of things. One, of course, was the Spanish flu. She must have been 11, 12 at that time. And then she survived through the bubonic plague that came to India and just took care of millions of people at that time. She made those rules that were really very useful. We have been lucky generations, but I think a lot of things are about to change in terms of how we live, in terms of public health, in terms of our own consciousness, and about healthy living and about mental health, taking care of it. So I think the fields of discipline in terms of the way we communicate, the way we collaborate, there are just a lot of changes. Now, don't ask me how college sports will change, because that is a totally separate topic in itself. But right now we're spending a lot of time, I'm on NCAA board, and we are spending a lot of time dealing with issues right now, but also thinking what lies ahead of us. And we just have to, right now, I think what we have to think is we have to prepare ourselves with different scenarios and make sure that we can position the university so that whichever scenario we go, we at least are ready. Probably sometime in October, you're going to see a white paper from some of our brightest minds about what this new post-vaccine world will look like. And once that paper comes out, white paper, we're going to circulate it. If you're interested in reading, interested in giving me advice, I'll be more than happy to take it. So thanks, Alois. I think there are many other things I could talk about, but that's it for right now.
Thank you so much. And related, Dean Spann, how do you think that the COVID pandemic will shape the training of future physicians? How is it going to change College of Medicine training?
Well, there's no question that it will change the way we train doctors. I think there will be more online virtual teaching. We're doing some of that now. Of course, there are things that you have to learn in person. You have to learn anatomy in 3 dimensions. You have to learn how to examine patients by practicing that. But there's no question that the teaching modalities will change somewhat. I think we're going to be practicing medicine differently. One of the real changes is going to be the explosive growth of telehealth. And the COVID pandemic has facilitated that. The payers are now paying for that. And people would rather, if they don't have to come into the clinic or the hospital for that matter, see their physicians and healthcare team using telehealth. And we will have to focus on that. We will have to purposefully teach young medical students and residents how you take care of folks using the technology of telehealth. In addition to that, I think the pandemic has shined a spotlight on health disparities and the need to deal with those in the way we care for patients. They shined a spotlight on issues of poverty and issues of systemic racism. And so those are all going to be topics that we need to incorporate into our medical school curriculum. I think the changes are going to be very positive, and I think that even after the pandemic is over, the things that we have learned and are applying to our practice will help us to take better care of our patients.
Thank you. I suspect if you could see everyone, you'd see a lot of heads nodding about all the good things that will come of this. And it's good to concentrate on those at this time. Switching gears, we have a question from Patty Godfrey, a former president of the University of Houston Alumni Association Foundation. She asked, on behalf of Cougar Promise, what's the protocol if a student in the dorms tests positive?
Well, that's an excellent question. And let me say that we would start by evaluating a student with symptoms at our student health center to see how ill they are and to be sure that they don't require more intensive health care. We would test them immediately, and we would get those test results back within 24 hours. But as soon as we tested them and thought they might have COVID, we would put them in isolation. We've identified over 100 different rooms where we can put students into isolation. They would stay there. They would receive their meals. As soon as the positive test result came back, that would trigger us to do contact tracing internally to identify other students, faculty, staff who have been in touch with that individual in close proximity, so that those who have been exposed can be put into quarantine and not expose other people. Those who have been exposed would likely be tested as well, so that if they were already positive, they could be put into isolation and further contact tracing done. I think we've got an excellent plan to take great care of our students and employees should they become infected. And those are all consistent with the latest CDC guidelines and standards of practice.
Let me add to that, Alois. First of all, hi, Patty. I could have guessed that you would be on today. Sorry, this is virtual, but hi. and thank you for the Cougs Mom, what a great organization. I hope you all are doing virtual things, but I just wanted you to know and everybody who's online to know that we never shut down our dorms. We never closed residence halls at all because we had many students. They had nowhere to go and we simply couldn't just throw them out. We housed 1,000 students throughout this pandemic. March, April, we had more, but even last few months, we have had 1,000 students at least living in our residence halls, which means we've been using protocols. We have been thorough about, how to do deep cleaning, sanitization, and all of that. And we will continue to do that. The goal is, can we provide a safe environment, actually possibly even a safer environment than what they might have in their homes. And that has been the goal that all of us have been working forward for. I think there's Eloise, if I am not wrong, there seems to be one more question from Kim and Tasha. It says, any changes of admissions requirements and testing in light of pandemic? So let me just take that. Yes, so the Board of Regents actually just a few hours back approved that until the academic year, which is fall 21 and also spring of 22, that we can have exemption from using SAT, GRE, ACT, and LSAT, and so on. So we are doing a much more holistic review. So yes, there is that admissions requirement change for us. And while we are forced to do this, we are also evaluating very seriously what's the value of these tests and are there better predictors. So we're going to be studying this growth very carefully to see what is the correlation between a student's success and retention versus these tests. And then we'll see what we do in the spring of 22. So don't let crisis go to waste, figure it out, can you improve on things?
Thank you. Matthew Mitchell, class of 2006, has asked, at the Alumni Awards Gala, and he didn't say this, but remember when we used to have galas? At the Alumni Awards Gala last year, you mentioned engaging with the Third Ward to uplift the community. What are some of the opportunities and projects there that you want to mention?
Right, I think Eloise, you could probably answer that question as well as I can, but yes, we continue to do a lot of work and those are our 4 areas of that work. One is the public schools. There's a lot of work going on right now with public schools. Many of them have actually improved in their grades, and our Board of Visitors group committee on student success and Third Ward engagement have been helping us tremendously. Then we have one on health, which Dr. Spen can even point out, but there's a lot going on in terms of research in Third Ward, but reaching out to Third Ward. We have Lone Star Circle of Care clinic on campus where our friends from Third Ward can come, neighbors can come there. We are also looking to see if we can put a front door of our clinic right inside Third Ward, because I understand it very well that it's even that much distance. It doesn't seem too much, but it's still, the distance is distance, and it would deter people from coming. So we are looking at that too. And the whole goal has been to really provide safer preventative strategies to our neighbors. And Dr. Spen can expand upon that, but one of the curriculum pieces of our College of Medicine is really for the students, freshman students, to be teamed up and adopt a family in the Third Ward or mostly in the Third Ward, to basically help them keep in good shape rather than waiting until some disease comes. So prevention, primary care becoming very important. The two other pieces are economic engagement, and there is still the boot camp for small businesses continues to go on. We have many residents from Third Ward that we've taken. Right now, we are also looking at various ways that we can help and our students can help. Then finally is the arts. That's, we think, is a good bridge builder. And we do have residential fellows from Third Ward who come and spend the time in our College of the Arts. Of course, everything has gone virtual. So instead of being there, we are doing this, all of these things, we are reaching out virtually. I personally try to reach out to several people, especially after all of these things, when they started to fall apart 2 months ago, just to seek guidance, just to figure it out, what's happening, just to listen to this story and just to see how is it that we can examine our own biases and structural issues and just look beyond, look to make it a better place, the institution, the neighborhood, the city, and the region.
Thank you. And I know you could go on. There are academic programs that relate to reaching out to the third ward and others, but we'll save that for the next town hall. So another question that we received several times, including from Alan, Eric, Nikhil, and Olasegun, is how alumni can help, how they can help students, how they can help the university, especially during current times, both financially and otherwise. So maybe I'll take this one just for a moment to let everybody know that we're 20 days out from finishing our $1 billion campaign. We're already over $1.2 billion. And it's been a tremendous outpouring from alums. We have 131,000 new donors who had never given to the university before, who gave during the campaign, over 180,000 donors overall. We have over 1,000 scholarships set up. We have 16 new buildings and renovated buildings. And then we have 10 centers and institutes. So it's been widespread. It would never have been possible without all of you. So you've helped in a lot of ways. And I think that it's very clear that the alumni are involved in an important part of our career networking, business networking, which Lori mentioned earlier, mentoring and recruiting students. So keep it up. There are lots of ways to get involved. And I think Lori mentioned the website, and we need you in order to make the university stronger. President Khator, you want to add anything to that since I stole your question?
Sure, thank you for the question. I mean, that is the Cougar spirit. You know, during all this time when you are faced with your own personal and professional challenges, you are asking, how can we help? So I said, this is why this place is so special. So thank you. Please continue to do what you're doing in so many different ways. But right now, I would say there are probably a lot of Cougars out there who have been hit because of all the unemployment in terms of losses, job losses. If you ever find out one, please try to help them with your business-to-business connections, with your networking connections. Because alumni are really, you are the wind beneath our wings, and I want to make sure that first and foremost you support one another and help each other get up and lift. Then if you know of students who are going to the University of Houston, just stop by, ask them how they're doing, tell them that this is not the time to be discouraged, and say that, okay, I'm not going to really enroll, or I'm not going to take classes, or I give up. No, because from your experience that the crisis will pass. And at that time, the region is going to need, the state is going to need their skills. We are going to have to rebuild this economy again as very strong, and we are going to need them. And also, please just tell them from your experience that how they should keep their minds open, because what they're studying today may not be what they will do tomorrow. So just keep their minds open, keep on reskilling themselves. At the university, we have really taken some new approaches to supporting people outside who may have lost jobs or just want to upskill. We started a micro-credentialing program. We know not everybody can take 45 hours to finish a course, but we know you could take 15 credit hours to upskill yourself in something which is unique, like cybersecurity or data mining. So we are offering those kinds of credentials as well. And finally, I would simply say, just keep on doing really great in your own work, in your own leadership sphere, because I need your stories. I need your success. That's what is a success for the University of Houston. Beyond this, just keep praying for us. It has been a huge challenge all this time. But I'll tell you, we got a hit of millions of dollars, of course, and naturally the housing, the meals, the parking, the athletics, you just name it. from everywhere. However, immediately we tightened our belts, and I can tell you that we did save millions of dollars in immediately being very, very careful about what we were spending and how we were going to run the university. So people are stressed. They are obviously anxious. So if you ever have to reach out to any faculty and staff, please just remember to thank them, because right now is the time they are continuing with their mission, but they are also really doing a little bit more job. The reason we have been in a little bit of financially, I feel stressed, even though we did a lot of savings and everything, is because the state asked for budget reductions. So on top of all of this thing that were naturally their business losses, we also had to return funding to the state, which we understand why, because obviously state's revenue is declining, but nonetheless, all of these things do create issues. But I want to just tell you, I would never make excuses about anything. You got to take the hand that you're dealt with, and you have to figure it out how you can play your very best game, because crime is not going to help. Complaining isn't going to help. People don't invest in whiners, they invest in winners. And what we have to right now do is to keep our faith, keep our hope, because we are in the business of dreams and hopes. And we have to stay strong in our business, and we have to prepare those who are going to lead us into our brighter future. So thank you for the question, but thank you also for your support, your good wishes, your prayers, and everything. Please know I really appreciate you.
Thank you. And our final question for the evening is from Irene Hernandez, class of 2013. And she has asked, whose house?
Well, she got to ask 3 times for whose house, but there is one other question I see, Eloise, from Jacqueline. It's about, will class of 2020 be able to eventually walk across the stage?
Mm-hmm.
So we very much wanted walking across the stage. That's why we did not do virtual commencement. We thought we could do it in August, but the things turned in different direction. We obviously cannot do in August. And at this point, because we are even finishing our classes early at Thanksgiving, we are not sure, given the winter and given all of that, whether it's going to be good. So the idea is at this point that we will have a virtual commencement for the club, for those who graduated in spring, summer, and also those who will graduate in fall. We will figure it out once we see that the pandemic is really coming down, that we could gather in that kind of a gathering some point in time. I would like for those graduates to come back and walk with this special recognition in future ceremonies. So that's another thing that we are looking forward to. But please, if you do know a graduate, if you have a graduate at home, please do celebrate with them, and please do give them my best love and pride and all the kudos. They are coming out from school at a very difficult time, but it's just going to make their character stronger. Just hold on to it. Just don't quit. Don't get disheartened.
Before we conclude, I'd like to thank Lori Rutherford for her leadership this past year and welcome the new incoming president of the UH Alumni Association Foundation, a 2-time University of Houston graduate earning a bachelor's degree in '93 and a master's in 1999. Drew De Silva.
There I am. Thank you, Eloise. I'm so happy that our alumni, life members, and volunteers were able to join us tonight. We hope we were able to answer your questions as we head into the fall, and that you have seen the incredible ways that the university has responded recently. As Lori mentioned, there are many ways to get involved, and they each can have a significant impact. So I encourage you to find one that suits you. Lori highlighted the Cougar Business Network, and I would like to make special mention of our constituent alumni associations who have worked tirelessly to continue engaging and finding ways to support the U of H community. In particular, the Hispanic Alumni Association, which essentially restarted a few years ago with a new board and new volunteers. In the past 2 years, they have awarded over $20,000 in scholarships and held sellout events throughout the year to raise money for those scholarships. You can find more information on this group and more on our website, houstonalumni.com. If you have any additional questions or concerns, please reach out to us at alumni@uh.edu. Also, be on the lookout for a brief survey you'll receive as a follow-up to this webinar. In the meantime, I look forward to continue building our special legacy and getting to know more of you. Until we meet again, I wish you a safe and enjoyable rest of your summer. Remember, we are stronger together. Coug strong, mask on. Thank you, good night, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Thank you.